for as much as people hate Logan and Jake Paul, you also want to see them fight because maybe you're hoping to get their ass kicked.
Yeah, and I have such a huge respect for those guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
look what
too.
they did. The YouTube stars, they decided to go boxing. They're really not bad at all, and they really commit to the sport.
Bas, such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I watched the film last night. Man, you are just such a badass. In real life, in the characters you play, it's incredible.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a fun part. You know, it was not that crazy. I had a few days filming. It was, come on, hanging out with all these guys. It's the best.
Have you always been a badass? Like, I feel like in the public perception of you, this is who you are. But like, who were you as a kid?
As a kid, I was a very sick kid. I had a very bad skin disease and I had severe asthma. And so I was the leper in school. That's what they called me. So that's where my fighting comes from, because they were bullying me all freaking day long until I realized that if I would be like Bruce Lee, because I saw a movie, Enter the Dragon, from him. And that's it. I changed and start training, and I knocked the first bully out. And what do you know? Everything stopped. 95% of the people stopped bullying me. Some poor bastards who didn't hear about the story, he would come up, but they would go there, because now I really want payback. I mean, 7 years of being freaking bullied. You want the heads to roll. Trust me.
I feel like we all have those moments in our life that change our lives for the rest of our lives. For you, if you hadn't seen a Bruce Lee film, how do you think, do you think you would have got into fighting?
No, I think if I wouldn't have my diseases, I wouldn't have gone in fighting. That's what I truly believe. Because that set me up to start looking, and then I saw this Bruce Lee movie. Yeah, so no, everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer of that. And that just lit a fire under me, and then I found out I was good at it, and it became a profession. It's the weirdest thing. I'm freaking in America right now. I'm from Holland. I moved here like in '97.
Yep.
So
I'm with you. I'm originally from Canada, and you might recognize from my last name that is a Dutch last name.
That's for the first thing that I said. I say he's Dutch.
Wow.
And they said, what do you mean? I say Van Vliet. That's a Dutch name.
And thank you for pronouncing it correctly. My goodness.
Yeah. That's how you do it in Holland. It's the same with Bas Rutten. That's official. That's how you pronounce it. It doesn't sound as cool as here. Bas Rutten. It's much better.
How many languages do you speak?
5, but it's
just 5. Yeah.
No, because I have to say, I got to be honest. Like, for instance, I speak Flemish because I used to live at the border, which is a very bad slang from Dutch. And since we live at the border, it's easy for us to understand. I speak Afrikaans because that's an old Dutch. So you see, the kind of not real, because it's very close to my language. But I speak German as well, English, Dutch, and then Afrikaans, which is a very old Dutch, like my grandmother would speak. And then Flemish, because we used to live at the border and have this weird slang, but it's easy to understand.
So do you think in English now, because you've been speaking it for so many years?
Yeah. I started doing that a bunch of years ago, dreaming also in English. And that's weird, because my wife is from Holland, and we speak Dutch at home. That's, for our kids, is the worst in school. Dutch, English is always their worst subject, because our grammar is the opposite way. And we still speak Dutch to the kids sometimes, and they speak English back to us. So it's a weird house.
Wow, that's so funny. So growing up, you're getting into fighting, you're starting to realize you're pretty good at this. When did you realize you could actually make a living at it?
Never. I never did. I was just pure luck. I'm telling you. It was I was also old, 28 years old. That's like, so I was a striker, a Thai boxer. I did a whole bunch of Thai boxing matches. Then I took a fight. I retired for a while because I was just knocking people out. And it wasn't interesting for me enough. And then I didn't train for 3 years. I was drunk at a party somewhere, and somebody asked me if I wanted to face this new guy, or not a new guy, but he came out of prison. He was training in prison, Frank the Animal Lotman. And I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, well, he's fighting when he comes out. He needs an opponent. I said, sure, I fight him. But I had no clue that I said that. So then months later, they called me and they said, hey, where do I send the posters to? I said, what posters? From the fight. I said, who's fighting? You. I said, am I fighting? He says, yeah, who? And they go, Frank Lotman. I go, the Animal. And he goes, yeah. I said, when did I say that? He said, well, on New Year's Eve. I go, and I realized, oh yeah, I did talk to him. So now I was better wanted to keep my word. And I said, "What is the fight?" And it was like 3 weeks later. And I didn't work out for 3 years. And I was a bouncer. That means 5 o'clock, the club closes, then we go party, So I was not living the healthiest style. I should have never taken the fight, but I'm a man of my word. And of course, I lost the fight. And at that moment, everybody spit me out in Holland. They forgot about all the other knockouts. Suddenly, I was the worst fighter. And that really got to me. And I go, I'm never going to fight again. And then my wife in 92, and she was looking at me and she said, "You're going to be a famous fighter in Japan." I said, "No, I told you I'm not going to fight anymore. I don't want to." She says, "Yes, but you said for Holland, you're going to go to Japan." And I said, "Whatever." It was just a weird comment. Who would say that?
Yeah.
And then 8 months later, they called me and there's a tryout in Amsterdam. Jump in the car right now. And that was for a new organization called Free Fighting. And there were some Japanese guys. They were looking for new talent. I got in a brawl with a guy and knocked him out because he tried to knock me out. And they were pointing at me and say, "Hey, we want him." And that was it. 2 months later, that was in 93, September 93. I was fighting in Japan, and that's where it became my profession.
Wow. So when you're working as a bouncer, I mean, you're pretty much fighting every night anyway.
Yeah, in Holland, yes, you do it in Holland much more. Like in Holland, it's not as bad as it is. Well, it should be the same as here. Like if you knock somebody out, most of the time you have to go to the police station. That's here in America. In Holland, the police comes and they knew us by now. They know me. Like I was the bouncer who got chosen not because I could fight, but because I'm good with people. Like from the 10 situations that happen, 9 I will diffuse 100% because I'm just talking and I'm just saying what happened. And if you break things down with drunk people, they're going to realize that they're fighting for nothing. It's a bullshit reason. They go, "Yeah, I didn't see like that. So what do you drink? Your beer? Boom. Okay. Cheers. Shake hands. Let's go." You see, so that's why I was a wanted bouncer because I was just really good at diffusing fights.
You were like the mediator.
Mediator. That's the title for a movie. Yeah, that will be something.
That's Bas Rutten's next film, The Mediator.
Bas Rutten, The Mediator.
Who do you think was most influential when you were coming up that really started to make you realize that potential in yourself as a fighter?
What a guys that were beating me in the beginning, like a Funaki Masakatsu was my third match because I was a striker, a puncher and a kicker, and I didn't know anything on the ground. I literally, the first year in Japan, I fought 9 fights. I had no ground experience. So I just trained on the back pretty much. So when he beat me, okay, I need a submission. I was looking up to that. And then Ken Shamrock beat me by submission. And the last time I lost was against Ken by way of submission. That was the moment I said, okay, I either going to change my whole fighting style or I'm going to quit. It's either because I might become a champion by knockout, and then the next I lose the title defense because of the submission again, because I don't learn this game. So I started forcing myself to like it because somehow I didn't like it. I didn't think it was manly enough. Really weird thoughts I had. But then I started seeing the capabilities, and then I started realizing, wait a minute. I mean, as a good submission fighter, you're able to dislocate any joint in the body, break any bone in the body. I mean, that's a big freaking power to have, and that clicked. And suddenly I became obsessed. And I just was day and night, 2-3 times a day. I was working out. I would wake up my wife in the middle of the night because I would dream a submission. I would put her in that submission and I would write it down. And I said, "Your shoulder's hurting, right?" Yeah. I mean, this was constantly Post-its everywhere. But you know what? Hard work pays off. I never lost a fight again after that. After my last fight, I lost by submission. I won my next 8 by way of submission. You see, so I completely changed the whole thing. And like I said, that's when I never lost again. So it's just putting the work in.
Well, I think what's so fascinating about your career is you're like a tactician. Like, I feel like you're almost like a scientist in there, the way that you break things down. It's so incredible.
Yeah, I think that's everything in fighting. I just came back from Spokane. I was teaching a seminar there, and it's like these people in the beginning, they go like, "What's going on?" I said, "Listen, I'm doing this on purpose. Like everything I do in fighting has a reason. I don't just throw a combination. It is always to read you or to do it to see your reaction. And then, I follow it up with the same combination, because most of the time, if I connect with a combination, then I look at the guy, I nod my head, like, here it comes again. And he knows that I'm going to do it again. And most of the time when I do it again, now he's ready for it. Now he's going to block those punches, but it exposes his body. And that's when I add a few punches to the combination to a different target, you see, and that's how you set up fighters. And I've always been like that. I try to make things difficult in fighting as well. With me, my class, you have to think all the time. Just throwing combinations, I'm not into that. It needs to have a reason.
With your fighting career coming to an end so quickly, who do you wish that you were able to get in the ring with that you either didn't fight or that you want to fight again?
Well, at the time, it was Hickson Gracie. He was a really good ground fighter, and I saw this documentary of him, and I was mesmerized by his technique, how fast he was, and I just wanted to fight. He and his brother. Listen, we were young guys. We came up, right? He UFC, they were the UFC, and of course they start talking some bad things about Pancras, the organization I was in. Yeah, you should do that to me because I'm going to fire back, So that's when the rivalry started. But it was never a rivalry. I don't like you guys. It was always the rivalry. You guys are really freaking good, and I would like to see what I would do against you. You see, so thankfully Hickson knew that as well, because we met a bunch of years ago in China, and he came up to my table at breakfast. He said, "Hey, boss," I go, "Hey," I said, "Everything cool?" And he said, "No, I of course. I said, "It's just people talking." I said, "Okay, good that you got it," because people always think that we hate each other somehow, but no, mutual respect. Trust me.
Yeah. What about another match against Ken Shamrock? Do you wish that you had another match with him?
Yeah, almost, but he didn't want to take the match. That was after, because when I fought Ken, I didn't have the ground experience.
Yeah.
And then when I start after his last loss, like I said, I won my next 8 fights by submission. I have actually more submission victories than I have knockouts now. So I became a completely different fighter. And then when he came to the Prize Fighting Championships, I was the commentator there. And I said, "Ken is coming?" "Yeah." I said, "I come out of retirement. I want to fight him. Tell him." And he said, "No, we already did that. There's no need to do it again." So unfortunately, I didn't have the chance.
Well, with the time you spent in pro wrestling, I feel like there could have been some sort of a match there. Bas Rutten, Ken Shamrock, in some sort of wrestling organization.
They would have, and especially I would have loved in Japan, because in Japan, the pro wrestling they call it the hard style, strong style, which is the same as mixed martial arts. Like here, you do pro wrestling and they grab an arm like this, and apparently that's hurting you, and they're screaming. In Japan, it's not. It's all real moves. So for a mixed martial artist to do pro wrestling in Japan, it's much easier than to learn all these things that they do over here, which are not real fighting. You would never use that in real fighting. So if it's close to real fighting, it's much easier, of course, to do.
What about your character in this film? This film was so much fun. The Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre. How much of that were, you're playing a pro wrestler here. You were a pro wrestler. Is it just like, I'll just slide right into this character? Super easy.
Yeah, that's it. That's literally it, and it's always, that's why they call me Dutch, it's I'm a Dutch guy. So that right away takes care of the accent that I have. Some people start saying, so, okay, now they know immediately. So, and like you said, yes, it was real fighting already, pro wrestling, and that was very close to what we were doing. So, there was almost no character change at all there.
When you started getting into acting, was there anyone that came along and said, "Bas, you're awesome. You've got the great look. We need you to work on your accent"? Was that ever a conversation?
No. And if somebody would say it would be good, listen, if I study the lines, I get rid of it, if I really want to. But there's a lot of ad-libbing as well, and my grammar is just backwards because I still speak a lot of Dutch at home here also.
Yeah.
So no, it was never a problem. I did try a lot to fix it. Like in Holland, they would say I think or I think instead of think, like those things. Once I started getting rid of those, that cleaned up a lot already. But if I'm just shooting in my mouth, yeah, you will hear that I'm not from America. But like I said, if I really study the script and they tell me, okay, stay by line, I think I can hide it.
But maybe you don't need to hide it though, and maybe that's part of it. Like I remember in a very famous interview that Arnold Schwarzenegger did, he said he was taking accent lessons to get rid of his accent, but still keep his accent, but just so people could understand him better.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's the same. I would, when they would say it, I say, "What about Jackie Chan? And what about Jean-Claude Van Damme? And what about these guys?" I mean, just write my character as a character from Holland. Boom, problem is fixed. It's one line in the script, and it's all taken care of.
Other than Jackie Chan, who were some of the actors that you looked up to growing up?
Oh, well, Bruce Lee, of course, he was my man because he changed my life. That was when I was 12 when I saw Enter the Dragon. And that's when I realized that if I'm like him, that bullying will stop. Yeah. So he put me on the path, it took me 2 years to convince my parents to do martial arts because they always thought it was violence. And I started training. I was taken under the wing by an older guy who was dating one of my beautiful neighbor girls. They were older. They were like 22 and I was 14. And he took me under the wing and I was training with the adults. And from there, it just went really fast. I started dropping adults pretty fast, like in months. And then I heard these guys talk great about me in the dressing room. And you have to understand, I was a kid that got bullied, skin disease, gloves, have to wear gloves, turtlenecks, long sleeves, because I got, they only talk bad stuff about you. But once adults start talking good stuff, you tend to listen to the adults. And then I realized, oh, I'm better than I think I am.
Yeah.
And that led me to the biggest bully fight in my school. And it was one punch. It was so weird. It was literally challenged me and I just knocked him out. That was it. But he broke his nose in the process. So that meant the police showed up, because normally that wouldn't, but since his nose had to be fixed. And that was confirmation from my mom and dad, of course, that it was violence.
Yeah.
And they took me off right away. But in their defense, I have to also say, I never told them I was bullied, because my mother had an enormous amount of work with me. I mean, every night I needed to get mummified. We had family members sending in old bed sheets that she would rip to bandages and would creams on me. And in the middle of the night, it was itching so bad, I would rip it off. And then she would come again and do it again. So she's been a lot on my bedside helping me with that. And I didn't want to be another bother by saying, hey, I'm getting bullied at school.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that things have changed a lot over the years, but what do you say to a kid that's being bullied now? What should they do?
It's get an adult, that's what I always say, because some of them, they don't have the physical capabilities to do it. But I always say it's just a period. It's just a 4-year period. These people are just dumb, and something happened to them because a normal person is not a bully. There's something wrong with you if you're a bully. It's an ego thing. It's whatever it is. Something happens at home. Maybe the father was like that to his brothers and sisters, to him, to his wife, whatever it is. There is a reason that they act like that, because and kids also, we're kids. We say stupid stuff.
Yeah.
You have no clue how much things hurt by saying it. There are things that they told me when I was 12 that people still should watch out now saying that to me. I will literally say, don't repeat that anymore. And what do you mean? I said, it brings back memories. And I don't think it's going to be healthy for you. We're going to stop. This is 40 freaking years ago, longer. And it's still in there, That's why with the school shootings and all that stuff, I can understand these guys. Oh, so no, I'm not okay with it. Of course I'm not okay with it. Yeah. But I remember a bad an incident. I was watching a Tarzan movie, and I got into a fight at the street yard with a bunch of a schoolyard with a bunch of guys, and there were trees there, and there was one branch was hanging down, and I saw just like Zorro or whoever did it, he grabbed the branch and he swung over, he stomped him in his chest, and somehow in my mind that will work for this particular situation. So I jumped up to the lake and it broke, and I fell on my back, and everybody's laughing. Now this is after being bullied for 6 years already, and we lived about 200 yards from that school. And I'm sprinting home, and I remember grabbing the biggest kitchen knife, and I start sprinting back. And thankfully, because till this day, I have no clue what I would have done. My mother saw me running with the knife to the front window, and she started chasing me, and she was able to stop me at the right time. But that was the drop that made the bucket flow, so to say. And I don't know, I might have stabbed him. I don't know. I was just in such a rage at that moment. Yeah. So I always feel bad for these kids, because also after it happened, oh, you killed somebody. Try to go through life with that. But you got to lock him up. I said, well, if it's a decent person, that's a life sentence. Just walking around on the street, I couldn't live with it. It's like being drunk and killing kids. Yeah. Good luck with living like that. So it's emotions, man. Emotions. They need to be controlled. And it's we were just talking about it. I was walking my dog, and I said, there's about 5 times in your life you can be angry or less. That you really, like when somebody attacks the family or does something to a loved one, where you really have to get angry and get in there. But for the rest, anger should never be an option. It shouldn't, because once it moves your emotions, you don't think clearly anymore, and you make mistakes. That's what happens to people. That's why they kill people. They're just getting crazy.
Yeah. When do you think you started to get control of your emotions like that? Because when you're younger and you're being bullied, it's easy to just lash out.
Yeah, that took a long time. Listen, I came back to the faith about 7 years ago, and then I started learning about it. But I have some really good theologians who and then when they go over where the senses start, and if you can control your senses, that's the whole trick. The seeing, hearing thing, all that stuff. Once you can control that, that's where you can start controlling your emotions. But don't get me wrong, man. The last time I exploded was, I do things to I like hit a table like I'm a freaking 12-year-old kid and break my hand, and I go like, what is wrong with you? really? You can be that angry, and it's like, boom, and I go, ah, shit, what did I do? So it's an explosion for a second, but of course, in that second, something goes wrong. Yeah. So I think fighting helped me a lot. Also, when I was 28 in Japan, that's when I realized my fighting came together, and I became I knew everything. I heard the corner speaker telling him the instructions, and I mean, it was like almost slow motion, and that really calmed me down. Fighting, that wasn't so hard to stop because it was that I have that ADHD. Yeah. So it's very hard for me to stop my mind. But in fighting and in training, it was always calm because you have to focus, So once I take that away, yeah, you're going to start doing stuff that takes that away. And that is drinking, drugs, that's what you see a lot of athletes, professional athletes, once they quit, and there's not the high anymore from knocking a person out in front of 15,000 people, which is a pretty cool feeling. Yeah. You try to replace that feeling, and most of the time that goes with the wrong things.
Yeah. I'm so curious about someone like you. If UFC or MMA was a big thing as you were growing up, I feel like you would have had a career path. You would have gone, this is what I want to do, I'm going to go do it. And your career path would have looked completely different than your current one.
Yeah, this is all by accident. It's all planned. That's what I'm thinking. I'm living. It's literally planned out for me. The reason, the way it got. I mean, everything. When I look back on my career, the wins that I have, the thoughts I had, it's like there's got to be a higher power here. I mean, it's so weird that everything just started falling together. Yeah, it blows my mind still till this day. Yesterday, I was walking the dog, and this woman, she's talking to me for weeks, and she goes, "Oh my God!" I go, "What?" She says, "Man, this Chris, he showed me yesterday the videos for me. I had no clue you were a fighter. You're such a nice guy." I go, "Yeah, but fighters are nice guys. What are you thinking? That I'm a crazy? You think that fighters like to solve problems with fighting? No, because they don't get paid for that crap. I'm anti-violence, actually, but don't get me wrong. If it's a bad person, who's going to get it? And that's probably still stems from me being bullied. If I see injustice, I don't care. Could be 12 guys against one, I'll go in. I can't stop it. And I had situations when I just walked there and I'm literally telling myself, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? And I can't stop it. I just got to go. But most of the time, they will see that you're full of confidence, and then you will diffuse the situation. And on top of that, like I said, I'm really good with talking, breaking things down. And then they realize that people, when they honk their horns, I get out of the car. And I'm walking to them with my hands up. I say, was that so really necessary now? I said, what do you mean? I said, like 1 second it was green and you have to honk the horn for 5 whole seconds. I'm just asking you, is that really necessary? And they look at you and he goes, yeah, that was stupid. I said, that's the only thing I want to say, man. Just relax, take a breath. Why would you get so angry for a second of waiting? You never make that mistake? Wow. I mean, I thought there were only like 2 people like Mary and Joseph, who never made a mistake, but apparently, please shake my hand. You're the third guy. See.
If I honked my horn and Bas Rutten came out of the car in front of me, I would be terrified.
Yeah. I had a really funny situation. My daughter came over from Holland. She's older. She's with my grandson. She has a grandson also, my grandson. And we were sitting in the car and it was warm and all the windows were down and my kids were in the car. She was in the car with her boyfriend. And I'm making a turn and some guy thought that he had the right of way while he had 3 lanes for himself. And somehow he gets angry. And he goes, he comes speeding next to us, and he's looking, and he's literally, and we are freaking dying. They go, oh shit, Bas Rutten, he said. And then he hit the brake, and he was all the way back. And we're looking at each other, and go, oh, this is the funniest thing ever. You see, that diffused really fast. So that was kind of cool.
How much do you think the fight game has changed or is changing with what we've seen over the last year with guys like Jake and Logan Paul?
I think it's good. I think it's now fighters know there's big money to be made, and hopefully they're going to put their feet down, especially if you're a good fighter. Look what McGregor did, right? Yeah. He's, and they had to pay him because they know he's going to bring in so many people. They had to. So once you have that, Paddy the Baddy right now, this new kid at the UFC that fought like a couple of days ago, that's another guy like that. He looks with the Beatle haircut he has. He's got the great look, no tattoos, no nothing. He's a very happy guy when he comes fight. And boy, he can fight, and that together with the things that he says, I think that could be a next breakout star, hopefully he keeps his head clear, which I truly believe because I looked at his path. He's very methodically over like 6-7 years. He's been fighting and doing very well. So, but guys like that, yeah, they're going to have a lot of pull because they understand the promoter understands people will come for him and buy pay-per-views for him, and they will know. So it's either, oh, I go somewhere else, I'm not going to fight, so now you're going to force them into paying you more money.
Well, it's a business, right? And I think that for as much as people hate Logan and Jake Paul, you also want to see them fight because maybe you're hoping to get their ass kicked.
Yeah, and I have such a huge respect for those guys.
Yeah,
I mean, look what they did. The YouTube stars, they decided to go boxing. They're really not bad at all. And they really commit to the sport. It's not like they go, oh, but they're drinking beer or partying and then they're training. No, they 100% commit. And I have the utmost respect for that. And if you look at was it Logan Paul? The last one. Jake Paul.
That was Jake Paul.
Yeah,
and
he was talking about the fact that he said I was a bully. After the fight, he says, and don't be a bully. He said, but I was one, and I'm happy that boxing pulled me out of that, because then I realized, oh, I'm not the badass. There's way more badasses out there. So I think guys who've been in that position, everybody knew they were a bully, and then they flip them around. That's when you change minds, man. That's when you change other bullies into becoming just a decent person.
You talk about being so great at talking. This is why you're such a good commentator. Was this just like, did you even have to do any sort of like training, or was it just like training on the job?
How I got the job, that was the funniest thing ever. So it was in 1999 or in 2000. It was just before the Prize Fighting Championships. The tournament would be broadcasted to the States. Yeah. And I was there with Mark Kerr and a few other fighters, and I was the trainer. And so we're in the dressing room waiting. With Kerr was always the main event. So we're watching the TV of the fights that goes on now going on at that moment. And we have some people from the Prize Fighting Championships sitting there. I say, oh, he's going to get him in an armbar. And they're looking and they go like, what do you mean? There's nothing going on. I said, I'll give it 10 seconds. And then 10 seconds later, boom, the guy's in an armbar. And they go like, how did you know? I go, well, you can see the setup. I see him, move a certain way that, will lead to the armbar. And then the next fight, it happened again with a knee bar, which is a leg lock, same as an armbar, but on a leg. Yeah. And I said, oh, he's going to roll into a knee bar. What's this? This is because he's known for that. And he goes, yeah, but he's not doing anything. I said, just give it 10 seconds. And sure enough, he rolled in. And that was it. They came to me. They said, did you ever think about commentating? I said, no. He said, you want to be a commentator on the next show? Because the next event, we're going to go live to the States. I said, sure. Now, to tell you how green I was, I had no clue we had to wear a suit. I never looked at commentators. I'm such an idiot at times, I just focus on my stuff. Sure. So I'm standing there in my shorts, my flip-flops, and a Hawaiian shirt at the bus to go to the event. And they say, where's the suit? I go, what suit? And they started laughing. They thought I was joking. I said, nobody told me to bring a suit. I said, I thought it was just my voice. You're going to hear. No, you got to do the opening. And then I realized, oh, of course, we see always the openings of the show as well. What an idiot. Yeah. But that was me at the time. I just didn't think straight. But what happened because of that, we had to find a way to still incorporate me with my freaking Hawaiian shirt on. How are we going to do that? And thankfully, we had a really good producer at the time, Michael Braverman. And he says, we're going to make a skit out of it. You're going to sit backstage. We put like 6 geishas around you. They're fanning you down. They're feeding you grapes. So you're telling war stories. I was fighting these 12 guys in the street, not that guy, and then the person inside with the suit, he says, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the Prize Fighting Championship, blah, 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 blah. So I got my partner's backstage getting a little treatment there. He says, let's go to him and see what he thinks. And they go, oh, hey, Stephen, how are you doing? Ladies, one moment. And then I would do this whole spiel about the fight, and I'll send it back to him. Now that suddenly became a hit. Like people go, oh, that was a great opening. So now you see things happen by accident, and then suddenly it became this big thing. Every opening from the Prize Fighting Championships was a little movie clip. It was a little skit that we would do, but it was born because out of necessity, because I didn't bring a suit.
Oh my gosh, that is a fantastic story.
Yeah.
I mean, you've taken to commentating so well. You're incredible at it. And I feel like you've done the same thing with acting, and you talk about like putting a commitment into it. I feel like that's what you do with acting. You put yourself into these roles. With everything you've accomplished in fighting, what are your goals that you have in acting? I mean, you've done everything you ever want to do in fighting. Now, what are your goals in acting?
I would love to, I'm focused on a thing. I was, like I said, an asthma patient, and I came up with an invention for your lungs, to train your lungs. That's what I thought at the time, but it's actually your breathing muscles doing it for you, when I was 14. And I made that product about 10 years ago. And about 4 years ago, it started getting attention because my chest expansion was, I blew all the records, and these lung experts, they go like, how is this possible? And they found out it was the device that I used. So now they put it in their books. And now I pulmonologists started buying it, COPD people for COPD and asthma patients. My asthma was cured within 3 weeks. I had to carry an inhaler with me everywhere I went, always in my pocket, because if I would sneeze violently, then my asthma would trigger and I needed to open it up. Before every single fight, I had an inhaler. I don't even have an inhaler anymore. It's completely gone. And I said it to my friend in Holland who has asthma. 8 days later calls me. He's selling them now in Holland. His asthma's gone. And I was like, okay, we're onto something here. This is really good. And then, all these tests started coming. You see, and again, this is something that was born out of a defect that I had.
Yeah.
And so it gave me an idea to breathe with resistance. It would be good. And boom, the thing was born. And now we're here. So right now I'm focusing on that. We're in the middle of it. We had a freaking nightmare year because I ordered a new model. We were sold out. I ordered a new model, invested a lot of money, and I ordered it in August 2020. And it's still not ready. All the COVID has been, and we're sold out for 7 months now. We're losing a lot of money. And then hopefully tomorrow I'm going to pick up a mold because I made a backup plan. And thankfully, and that backup plan is actually now the one that's going to hit first. So this week it should be ready. And then I can finally start selling now. Once I do that and it's going, that's when I start looking at acting again and for other jobs.
There's going to be people watching this that are going to go, I have asthma and I would love to do what Bas is talking about. So how can they find your product?
Go to o2trainer.com or go to Facebook and it's called Bas Ruttens O2 Bootcamp. You have like 5,000 members there and many of those are using it. And you just put a question out there. Hey, does this work for my COPD? I don't even have to answer. People go, boom, yeah, don't use it anymore. At all. Everybody who's using it every day, takes 4 minutes a day. They either got 70 or 80% or completely rid of their asthma and COPD. That's actually my commercial. If it's not 70% or more gone in a month, in 1 month, I'll give you your money back. That's how convinced I am how it works.
Can you still use it if you don't have asthma or breathing?
Oh yeah, because for stamina, I was breathing, well, not me. Yeah, I was breathing, but 95% of the people breathe wrong, incorrect. They're using shoulder raises. That all stems from when you were a little baby, and it starts around 6, 7 years of age, because that's when you look at the Barbie and Ken dolls and the freaking Avengers and all these guys, and they look ripped. And then before we breathe through we breathe like we have to breathe using our core. But once you start doing that, people might think you're fat, so they start breathing chest breathing. That's why everybody changed their breathing into chest breathing. Now, 4 to 6 of these breaths are the same as one belly breath. So when I was competing in Japan, I have these videos on the website. You can see it. You see me doing breathing like this, and that is completely gone with me. Like, I work circles around my 24-year-old students. I'm 56, and I train stamina maybe once a week. And they go, how is this possible? I say, I'm telling you, use the freaking thing. I'm telling you all the time, because that has to be the reason. Otherwise, it's impossible. So it does great for everything. Back problems, PTSD, anxiety. I mean, back problems. Yeah, apparently, because good breathing aligns your spine. That's apparently a normal thing. I had no clue, So now we're helping so many people with a simple little device. If you look at it, it says no way, but it does wonders for you.
We're going to see you on Shark Tank in no time.
Yeah. Well, right now, because we were selling the crap out of them, and now with the books, everything, and I have a famous pulmonologist is going to buy it, and that will all come out once they're ready. So hopefully this week, when they're ready, then I will bring the pulmonologist, and this guy has thousands of people online that are all going to be treated with the O2 trainer.
So back to the acting here, when that ends up becoming a thing, how do you get into character, and how do you learn your lines? What are the keys for you?
Learning lines for me, it's a hard, because I don't have a memory like everybody else has. But, like for instance, now I have a talk coming up, 2 45-minute talks. So for the last 3 weeks, I've been doing these talks 2-3 times a day. That's a lot of time. It's 3 times 1.5 hour a day. You got to go. You got to just grind it in. But the thing with me is, once it's in there, that's it. It doesn't come out. I'm really good once I have it. It takes more work than other people. I have friends who are photographic memory or been actors since they were 14 years, like Holt McCallany, the lead actor from Mindhunter, from that show on Netflix. Yeah. He's a very close friend of mine. It's ridiculous, because sometimes I use him to make a tape for an audition, and I'd go in 8 pages of script, and he literally reads it twice. And then he gives me the script back, and he's got it. I go, yeah, see, I can't do that. For me, I need to work. And so it's a lot of memorization, but I do this every day. Every morning I pick a passage from something and I memorize that. So I try to keep my mind busy the whole time. And so you get used to it. But that is the most important, because once your lines are hammered in there, you can completely focus on the whole character, because otherwise you're still thinking. There's some of these actors, you see him literally while they're talking, thinking what the next line is. You see, so that's the trick. But it takes a lot of hard work. That's why I like movies a lot, because 6 weeks before you already have the script. Oh, I can dream it in 6 weeks. Trust me, because I'm going to work the crap out of it. And then you can do different character developments. You can play it like this, the hot hat, and maybe a little middle in the middle, and maybe too soft. Like I give him 3 varieties. And I say, you pick which one you want, but that's only possible if you know your lines inside out.
I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I've had a lot of pro wrestlers on the show, and I want to talk to you about Samoa Joe, because I know you've trained with Samoa Joe.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, that's on the Wikipedia.
That's not right.
No, I don't.
Okay, we need to correct this, everybody.
Yeah, and also I don't have a black belt in judo. That's apparently also on there.
Well, we need to correct Wikipedia then.
Yes. No, we have to. Listen, I did that too. It's you would think you would update it. The thing is, I can't change it. I just have to go in. Apparently you can, but you have to verify it's you who actually doing it and take it off. Samoa Joe, I already took it a few times off, but every time somebody else puts it on, I guess, I don't know.
Wow. Well, look, Samoa Joe's an incredible fighter, an incredible wrestler. He'd be even that much better if it was true that he did in fact train with you.
That would be something. Because I can change people really fast. There's a few gifts I have. I can fight. I know that, but I think I'm a really good coach as well. I can see a lot of things that I can fix immediately by looking at somebody, and I really enjoy that, because I can help a lot of people with it. But everything is, people don't understand. When I'm obsessed, like I said, I'm obsessed. Yeah. It's the only thing I do all day long. And it's because once you love something, you do it a lot. Once you do it a lot, guess what? You become good. So breaking things down, man, I love it.
What are you obsessed with right now that we would never guess that you're obsessed with?
I don't know. A lot of people look at me weird if I'm telling them I'm a very devout Catholic. You go like, what the heck? But of course, there's a backstory. I've been attacked by a spirit. I've seen the curtain right in front of my face fly up against the ceiling with nobody there. I've seen the person walk. I've been, like I said, physically attacked. Yeah, no, very freaking scary. And then also we came to this house the first night we slept here, and my daughter was sleeping upstairs, and the next day I'm asking my kids, how was the first night here? My daughter says, it's fun, but I had some visits from 2 boys. And they go, whoa, back up. I said, well, you mean spirits then, right? She goes, yeah. I said, you're not freaking out. She says, no, just wants to keep on playing. But I said, hey, I want to go to sleep. And they were very nice. They let me go. I said, well, 2 boys. Yeah, how old? I don't know, 16, 17 years old. And I'm looking at my wife. I go, this is crazy. So I walk down, I take the computer, and I type in something ever happened close to my house. And in 2001, 4 kids on Christmas, poor parents, they drove, 3 boys and 1 girl, drove through the wall here. So I'm walking outside, you can see when they drove through the wall, and 2 boys, 16 years old, passed away. Wow. So now I realize that, together with the curtain flying up in front of me and with the physical attacks, I go, okay, there's more to this whole thing that we can see with our eyes. I mean, I've been physically feeling it and seeing things that are inexplainable. So that kind of got me back, because I said, okay, if that is real, then heaven's going to be real. And if heaven's going to be real, I like to go there. So let's change my lifestyle and become a different guy. I was never a bad person, but there's a lot of other things that you can still work on just to be a good person. And you know what the fun part is? As soon as you say something like that, I had my fan base on Facebook grew 5,000 people a week at that time. Every week, every month, 20,000 more for years. Get on, And as soon as I came out with the Fate story, it completely stopped for like a year and a half. You go like that. You try to do something good, and apparently people don't want to follow you anymore. This is how people are. It's very weird.
As we wrap this up, Bas, what does your morning routine look like? You are in phenomenal shape.
I have this big routine. I'll do everything, and it's meditation, it's prayers, it's stretching, it's everything. Like the first hour and a half, it's all me. The phones are off
every day, no matter what.
Every single day, no matter what, no matter where I am, I never break a habit. I'm really good with building a habit and don't break a habit. I'm the guy who at 4 o'clock at night drives you through the neighborhood who's using a turn signal. I don't break the habit. That's what I'm doing. Nobody's there. I don't need to do it. I don't do it. Because once you start doing those things, you start doing it with other things, and then everything starts falling together. So especially with my ADHD, I need a focus and I need a habit. So my stretching. Last time I was with Karate Combat, and with that's a show
with Robin Black, my friend Robin Black.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
George Torontonian.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. That guy.
He's great.
And I was stretching and I'm falling in splits. And George goes like, "How do you do that?" I said, "Oh, I've been doing it for 7 years every single day." "How many times you missed?" "Never." Because if I miss it, it's because of an injury that I can't stretch. But you see, there's a habit, and it's a constant focus. And it's a good thing for a body to wake up in the morning, to be completely clear. Don't look at your phone if you want to do this. If you want to meditate, don't look at a text message. It's going to be completely ruined. Don't look at your phone. Turn it off, the freaking thing. You don't need it. Just focus for 1.5 hours on yourself. And what I do, I go to the park. Most of the time already trained. So when I wake up around 5:30, I think around 9:30, the phone goes on. And the amount of work that I did at that time, it's just insane. I mean, walking the dog, I might have gone to mass. Actually, also, I worked out, I do stretching, I do meditation, I do everything. So, and it's a good time for you to wake up like that, because you need time on yourself. We don't have time for ourselves anymore, which you're the most important person for you. I always say that you can't lie to yourself, because every time you let yourself down, you get weaker, right? That's why the vices and virtues, what they're talking about. If you decide to be a drunk every morning, when I had this, at least 150 times, you wake up in the morning, you're with a hangover. Today, I'm not going to drink. But then later at night, you hit the snooze button, I always say. And then I do it tomorrow, and that's going on for years, So if you need a routine to break those bad habits and change them into a good habit, you see, now you're working on your life. But nowadays, everybody wants to take pills for everything. I want to lose weight, pop a pill. I want to be relaxed, pop a pill. I want to be relaxed, take a drink. I have heartburn. No, what about changing your eating habits, dude? What about for heartburn pills, high cholesterol, high blood pressure? No, just changing it. And you know what? I was exactly that guy 8 years ago. Exactly that guy. But then once I start focusing on everything, I'm completely medication free. I don't take anything and everything is normal. It's just training and it's just eating the right food. It's very simple, but you have to do it. And I've also said, I'm really good with, if something doesn't taste right, but it's really good for me, I just eat it every day. I can eat for years. I eat oatmeal in the morning, and now I found out that oatmeal actually encapsulates some sort of vitamins that you're doing, and then the vitamins don't work. So I stopped with that. And now I start doing sweet potatoes. Well, I eat a pan of sweet potatoes, completely full. That's my breakfast. People eat so much. I can eat 10 slices of bread before I go to sleep, because then at least I don't wake up, because I burn like a freaking maniac. So yeah, healthy food, man, and working out, very simple combination.
Yeah.
It works.
One of my routines at the start and end of every day is gratitude. And Bas, I end every interview talking about gratitude. And so I want to thank you for this amazing conversation.
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you.
You're the man. So the question I ask at the end of every single interview is, what are 3 things that you're grateful for in your life right now?
Well, of course, for my family, that everybody's healthy. I mean, health is everything. And you realize that as soon as somebody gets sick, my ex-wife's mother just passed away from cancer. We had really good, we're very close still. So it's very hard. And then you realize, you can have a great family, but somebody goes, it's a hard thing. So yeah, health, I think is everything. I think money is not. I believe just having enough to be comfortable. So you I don't need the Porsches. I don't need all that bullcrap I did. It's such a waste, all that stuff. You start thinking, going back, you go, why did I do that? But you're young, you did it. And I enjoyed it at the time. So there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't really have the money to do that, well, you do. But I mean, you can spend it on so much better. It's not like I make that $20 million. No, it's not like that. Not $1 million. So why would I drive a car like that? Stuff like that. Once you start seeing those things, that we confuse happiness with pleasure. That's what we're doing. And it's not the same. So we think our latest phone is going to give us a lot of happiness. It won't. It gives you a lot of pleasure. And then the new model comes out, you want that again. I stopped doing that as well. No more updates on my phone, no more newest phone, no more, all that stuff I just let go because it's so useless. Whatever doesn't make you smarter, mentally stronger, you shouldn't do. It's very simple. And this is not going to make me smarter or whatever it does. A car doesn't do it, nothing. It's useless, Work on yourself, work on helping people. I think that's the secret to life. So, and then for the rest, assumption, I really try to, assuming is a bad thing. I always say, stay away from assumption, because 95% of what we think is wrong all the time, and we assume we know certain situations, and everything goes wrong. It's like coming up with an invention. And if you assume that that's a great invention, well, maybe you should shop it around before you start making it, right? Because in your head, well, look at America's Got Talent and American Idol and all these guys. They believe they're really good singers, and some of them, right? But they think they are, you see, so they assume they are. You're not. So make sure before you put a product and a lot of money into something that your assumption is actually correct. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot.
Yeah, I mean, one of the books that changed my life is The Four Agreements, and one of them.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, they're talking about that.
Yeah. Bas, thank you so much. The Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre is in theaters and video on demand on Friday. Again, thank you for this amazing conversation.
You're very welcome, my friend. Osu, that's what we say. And for the people at home, it's OSU. It's not OSS. Os. No, it's OSU. Hosu comes from two words, Japanese words. Oshi means push, and shinobu means endure. Shinobu, oshi, put that together as hosu. And that's from now on, you're going to get hosu to push and to endure. Look at that.
Thanks, Bas.
You're welcome, brother. Godspeed.